Yeah, back to the plate. Look at this! Are you kidding me? He is back!
Drive to right field. If it's fair, it's gone. And it is gone. There's a cruise missile.
May has been an insane month of baseball. MVPs are coming back from injury. Players are telling their own teams their front office sucks. One team is regretting their big contract signing. Another team is already talking about trading one of the best pitchers in MLB. Baseball is starting to heat up, which means it's time for the monthly recap. But all I have to say is that 2 months ago, there is no way you would have been able to guess the best team in all of baseball. Before we talk about the biggest moments of the month, let's talk about the biggest surprise in all of baseball. Entering the season, the Detroit Tigers were expected to fight for a wild card spot, but now they're the best team in baseball and have the best record in MLB through 50 games for the first time since 2006. For those reasons, they without a doubt are the #1 team on this month's power ranking. As we all know, their pitching has been fantastic, as Tarik Skubal is on pace to repeat as the AL Cy Young. But he's not the only other Tiger pitcher lighting up box scores. Reese Olson and Casey Mize both have ERAs under 2, while 4 bullpen arms with at least 10 innings pitched have ERAs under 3. Offensively, they might be even better. Spencer Torkelson has completely broken out, putting up an OPS plus over 140, while 6 other players on the team who have played more than 40 games put up an OPS plus north of 120. For these reasons, it's not a shock that the gritty Tigers are #1 on the power rankings. #2, I'm going to go with the Phillies. I know this might shock some people, but after winning 9 straight games in the middle of May and taking over the lead of the NL East, I have no other option but to acknowledge what might well be the best team in the division. Kyle Schwarber has been fantastic. He's one of the leaders in the NL in home runs while putting up an OPS just south of 1,000, not to mention the fact he also leads the Phillies in B-WAR. Offensively, obviously, guys like Bryce Harper, who got hit by a pitch, hopefully he's going to be okay, and Trey Turner are balling for Philadelphia. But utility man Edmundo Sosa currently has an OPS plus above 140. And among batters who have 70 or more plate appearances on the team, he has the second best OPS. OPS, by the way, is on base plus slugging. On the pitching side of things, Zach Wheeler has by far been one of the best pitchers in the NL, leading the league in WHIP at the time of recording. If one man can stop his first ever Cy Young campaign, it might be his teammate Jesus Luzardo, who currently has a 2.15 ERA with an ERA plus of 193 and leading pitchers in the NL in B-WAR. Third on the power rankings are obviously going to have to be the Dodgers. We can't go far in the power rankings without mentioning the Los Angeles Dodgers, who currently lead the stacked NL West. But maybe more importantly, the Dodgers might have the next NL MVP. Shohei Ohtani has been amazing this season. At the time of recording this video, he leads the entire league in home runs and also leads the NL in slugging. But the real MVP candidate could also be his teammate Freddie Freeman. Freeman is 35, but he hasn't slowed down at all. He currently leads all of the National League in batting average and is only behind Aaron Judge in that regard. He also leads in OPS and OPS plus while also having a B-WAR over 2. Defensively, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been amazing with an ERA in the mid-1.8s, but rookie phenom Roki Sasaki has struggled in 2 starts during the month of May, putting up an ERA of 8. It is worth mentioning he is currently battling a shoulder impingement injury, which is just one of the many injuries the Dodgers rotation is currently battling. Fourth in the power rankings are of course the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees. The Yankees might not be the best team in MLB, but they sure are the most fun to watch in my opinion. We'll talk about Aaron Judge a little bit later because how could I not? But other than him, Paul Goldschmidt has been an all-star and possibly the second best hitter on the team. His resurgence definitely is reawakening Hall of Fame career type of conversation. And that's without mentioning Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, who in their own right both boast OPS pluses north of 120. Pitching wise, things might be even better. Max Fried is in the battle with Tarik Skubal for the AL Cy Young Award as he currently leads the AL in ERA. But also, how about Carlos Rodon? After a few rocky years to begin his Yankees tenure, Rodon has really settled in. He currently has an ERA under 3 3 with an ERA plus sitting just under 140. And I just want to shout out Luke Weaver as well, who's taken over the closer role from Devin Williams perfectly and also has an ERA under 1. Fifth on the power rankings is the first team from the NL Central. It's the Chicago Cubs. On paper, the Cubs should put up a good battle for the National League. As of the time of this recording, Pete Crow Armstrong leads the NL in B WAR, and 2 of his teammates aren't far behind. As we all know, Kyle Tucker has been amazing, but the real under the radar guy has to be Carson Kelly. Kelly put up a cycle in April and hasn't slowed down at all, tying Tucker in WAR and himself having an OPS plus over 190. Despite losing Justin Steele early in the season, pitching wise, Chicago has been solid. Matthew Boyd has been solid. Colin Rea has been promising, but of course, Shota Imanaga has led the staff in nearly every metric as he has an ERA under 3. I also want to take this time to shout out Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz hasn't pitched in the MLB since 2021, but despite not tossing an MLB pitch in 4 years, he currently has not given up an earned run for the Cubs in 13 appearances at the age of 36. Coming in at number 6 on the power rankings, I'm gonna have to pick the San Francisco Giants. It feels like the Giants have been under the radar this season and they're not getting as much attention as some of the bigger market teams, but it's easy to see why, maybe because they play in a crowded NL West, which includes the Dodgers and the Padres and Diamondbacks, but their play on the diamond is anything but under the radar. Matt Chapman has been solid offensively, but has been one of, if not the best defensive third baseman in all of baseball as well. While players like Young Ho Lee and Mike Yastrzemski have cooled off offensively this month, Helio Ramos has been electric. The 25-year-old is currently hitting over 330 while hitting 5 home runs just this month. Pitching wise, the Giants have been phenomenal. Robbie Ray has turned back the clock to 2021, leading the NL in wins with 7, while also having an ERA in the mid-2s. Logan Webb has been equally as good, leading the NL in FIP and boasting an ERA also in the mid-2s. It also helps that the Giants bullpen is stacked with guys like Camilo Doval, Tyler Rogers, Randy Rodriguez, and of course, the young 23-year-old Hayden Birdsong. Number 7 on the power rankings are going to be the Seattle Mariners. And let me tell you why. First of all, I saw you guys mention how I left them off of my last monthly recap, and I completely understand why. I apologize for that. The Mariners currently lead the AL West, and a lot of that has to do with Cal Raleigh, or aka the Big Dumper. Raleigh has been one of, if not the best catcher in all of baseball, currently boasting 17 home runs, an OPS plus above 170, and in the 89th percentile in framing and blocking ability. Players like J-Rod, Randy Arozarena, and JP Crawford have also been phenomenal this season so far, but the real hidden star has to be Jorge Polanco. Polanco is on a bit of a cold streak right now, but so far this year, he is playing amazing. Currently second on the team with 10 home runs, despite having less plate appearances than the majority of the roster. On the bump, the Mariners have been dominant as you'd expect, as Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, and Logan Evans all have ERAs in the mid-3s or lower. I also want to take this time to mention Andres Munoz, who currently leads the AL in saves with 17, while also not having given up an earned run at all this season. That is impressive. Moving on, 8th on the power rankings are going to have to be the San Diego Padres. The Padres have an abundance of talent, and despite the calendar just flipping over to June, it's been reported that the Padres are interested in trading for an everyday left fielder. What this means is that this franchise is serious finally about winning now. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been one of, if not the best defensive right fielder in all of baseball, while also hitting 12 home runs and putting up an OPS over 860. Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill both have been excellent, but the real surprise offensively has to be Gavin Sheets. Sheets is a former second-round pick by the White Sox who flamed out with the franchise after 4 negative WAR seasons, but so far this season for San Diego, he has an OPS over 800 along with 10 home runs. Despite battling some injuries mid-month, Dylan Cease has slowly turned around his horrid start to the season, tossing mid-3 ERA ball in the month of May. But more importantly, Nick Pivetta and Michael King have locked down the rotation, combining for over 110 innings of mid-2 ERA pitching. 9th on this list are the Twins. Last month, they were one of the worst teams in baseball, but now they're one of the hottest teams in the country. The Twins went on a crazy 13-game win streak in May to get themselves back into contention for the AL Central. Just that win streak alone for a May power ranking puts them on this list. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Byron Buxton is finally healthy. Buxton is currently hitting hitting 261. However, defensively, he might be even better because he's currently 93rd percentile in terms of outs above average. Aside from Buxton, Harrison Bader has been a pleasant surprise, and Cody Clemens, son of Roger Clemens, has been the perfect utility man, racking up over 1 WAR in just 19 games. On the pitching side of things, Joe Ryan has looked like his old self, and Pablo Lopez has been dominant, posting a 2.31 ERA in 9 starts. And now, in the final spot of the power rankings, coming in at number 10, we have the New York Mets. Last month, the Mets were number 1, but now they're fighting just to be in the top 10. Aside from the whole Juan Soto hustle controversy, which I'll be making a whole nother video on later this week, everybody on the Mets has slumped in April. Pete Alonso, who was the best hitter on the team just 30 days ago, had a lackluster May. Francisco Alvarez and Mark Vientos are still slumping, and DH Sterling Marte currently has an OPS under 100. On the mound, David Peterson and Griffin Canning have been excellent, but the real star has been Cody Senga, who currently leads the NL in ERA with a 1.46 line. There's just way too much talent on this team for them to be struggling like this. I know they lost the lead in the division at the time of this recording. I do expect them to continue to fight for that throughout the season, but I had to drop them on the power rankings. At the same time, I don't think the Mets will be 10th in the power rankings for much longer. But that's my top 10 for May. Now it's time for my favorite part of the monthly recap, the Beyond the Box Score segment, where I'm going to go over each and every single important play and just fun moment that happened over the month of May. May has been amazing for baseball. For starters, Tarek Skubal tossed a 13 strikeout, 0 walk Maddox against the Cleveland Guardians. For those who don't know, a Maddox is a complete game shutout thrown in under 100 pitches. But what's more impressive about this outing is the fact that he registered the most strikeouts ever thrown in a Maddox. Oh yeah, he also managed to throw a 103-mile-an-hour fastball on his final 94th pitch of the game. If Skubal can keep this type of stuff up, there's no doubt he'll repeat as the AL Cy Young. Over in the NL, an early contender for the Cy Young is Paul Skeens, who's currently rocking a 2.36 ERA with 70 strikeouts in just over 68 innings. However, his record is just 3-5, but that's more due to, him being a Pirate. Now, due to this, there is a large debate over whether or not the Pirates should trade Paul Skeens, but to be honest, I believe he'll remain with the Pirates and try to build that franchise up somehow, even though management has proven not to be the most committal, and I'm gonna be making another video on that as well. Let me know in the comments what you think about that situation, if he ends up sticking with the Pirates or they end up just trading him for a bunch of value. But anyways, sticking with the Pirates, check out O'Neal Cruz lining this ball into the Allegheny River. What's so special about this homer is the fact that Cruz hit this ball 122.9 miles per hour, meaning this is now the hardest hit baseball in the StatCast era. And while we're on the topic of breaking records, the New York Yankees became the first team in MLB history to lead off the game with 3 straight home runs twice in a season, doing so against the Orioles. Now, we gotta talk about the Orioles and just how underwhelming they've been this season. But before I get into the negative, I will throw one positive note out there, and that's Jackson Holliday has finally looked like a big leaguer. He's hitting 276 with an OPS nearing 800 in the month of May, and it's really cool to see him finally breaking out. But now it's on to the negative. Just a few years ago, this team was a 100-game winner with a division crown, but now they're at the bottom of the division, and their entire pitching staff has an ERA of 5.54. Outside of Tomoyuki Sugano, who has actually been pretty solid, the best pitcher with 4 more starts is Cade Povich, and his ERA is 4.86. So because of this, the Orioles went ahead and fired Brandon Hyde. And even though we're in May, so did a bunch of other teams. The Rockies fired Bud Black after their historically bad start, but to be fair, it's not really his fault. And the Pirates fired Derek Shelton after a 7-game losing streak, as well as becoming the first team in modern history to score 4 fewer runs in 26 straight games. Oh, and the Texas Rangers also fired their hitting coach. But just sticking with the Orioles for another second, Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers, the 2 prospects the Orioles gave up for Trevor Rogers, have been excellent. Norby is currently hitting 287, while Stowers has completely broken out, hitting 10 long balls and hitting over 300. That's not too bad for the Marlins. On the other side of things, Rogers has only made 1 one start so far this season. So right now, this seems like a pretty lopsided trade for Miami, even if Baltimore had a logjam in the infield and outfield. Now, a few years ago, the MLB went through the rise of the sweeper, but now it's time for the rise of the chitter, or in other words, a split changeup. Technically, this pitch started getting used mid-season in 2024, but it's been used a lot more this year and has even become a key part of the arsenal of many bullpen arms. Speaking of bullpen arms, this might be where 37-year-old Clayton Kershaw is going to end up soon if he can't turn it around. After starting off the season injured, Kershaw made his season debut in May, but in 2 starts so far, he's been terrible, posting an ERA of 7.5 in just 6 innings of work. Due to this, many fans have started on calling on Kershaw to retire. I mean, the guy's had an amazing career. Maybe it is time to just hang it up. But remaining in the theme of retirement, Ross Stripling, Colton Wong, Matt Carpenter, Gene Segura, and Tony Kemp all retired this month. One name left off of this list is Evan Longoria, who also retired. But I'm just curious, in your opinion, do you think Longoria is a Hall of Famer? Now, I do want to give a shout out to O'Neal Cruz. While he is a fun player to watch, especially after hitting a ball 123 miles per hour in the StatCast era, which is the fastest ball ever hit, he's simply not that good in center field. Check out these numbers. Offensively, yeah, he's a beast, and his arm strength in center field isn't too bad either. But oh my god, all the other defensive metrics are terrible. He's currently in the 53rd and 56th percentile in terms of outs above average and arm value. For now, I'm going to chalk it up to lack of experience in the outfield, but this is something notable to keep an eye on, especially with the mess that's going on in Pittsburgh. Another player who made history was Riley Green, who became the first player in MLB history to homer not once, but twice in the same 9th inning. Or what about Jacob deGrom? deGrom is back to his dominant self this season, posting a 2.33 ERA over 58 innings of work. But get this, in order to not get hurt this season like past years, deGrom is managing his own velocity in order to not hurt his UCL. Kind of cool. Up next is who most people consider the best shortstop in MLB, and of course, it's Bobby Witt Jr. Witt hasn't quite replicated his second place MVP season from last year, but he still leads the AL in doubles and still has a chance to replicate his 30-30 season at least. Similarly, Brent Rooker is once again going off this year, as he already has 12 homers with an OPS plus of 117. But what's new is the A's success. The A's have been pretty good this year, at least to their standards, and are currently only 7 games out of first place. Granted, they are under 500, but in comparison to the past, the A's are actually a competitive major league team. Unlike the Rockies, of course, who not only became the fastest team in MLB history to reach 40 losses, but more insane is the fact that there's only 5 qualified hitters on the team with a positive B-WAR. Shockingly, only 3 of those players have an OPS plus over 100. It's going to take a long time before things get better in Colorado, unfortunately, so grab a Coors and get comfortable. But the next portion of Beyond the Box Score is perhaps my favorite. It's time for Judge Watch. If you don't remember, last month I said, guys, we got to start watching Judge, not just the Yankees, not just the home run compilation, but Judge when he's at bat. And honestly, now at the end of May, Judge currently has over 4 B-WAR. For reference, the next closest player in MLB is barely scratching 3. Judge now leads the American League in home runs, hits, WAR, batting average, OBP, slug, OPS, OPS plus, total bases, and of course intentional walks. Like I said last month, if Judge can finish with remotely similar stats as this in September, there's a chance he puts up a season that's even better than his legendary 2022 year. But let's talk for a second about the Yankees' division rivals who are having a disastrous season, and that's the Boston Red Sox. If you want the full breakdown on the team, their situation, and all of the drama surrounding them, we actually have a video out on the channel, but the video was done before Alex Bregman's injury, which is reportedly going to take nearly 2 months to rehab. So this is another tough blow to the Red Sox. And in order to replace their second best hitter, they called up their top 10 prospect Marcelo Meyer. And I say again, Bregman was their second best hitter because Devers has been the second best hitter in all of the American League in May. He hit his first career walk-off home run, hit a grand slam, and then hit another grand slam a few days later, and currently leads the entire American League in RBIs and walks. In May alone, Devers is hitting 384. So it's kind of easy to name Devers the AL player of the month. But over in the NL, what about the Reds? According to the advanced metrics, the Reds are underperforming and should be a lot better than their current record of 26-28. And honestly, I understand why. Hunter Green has followed up his breakout 2024 season with an even better 2025 start. Andrew Abbott has been lights out whenever he's on the bump. And the pair of Nicks, Nick Martinez and Nick Lodolo, have both been solid in their own right. Offensively, Jose Trevino has been the Reds' second best player, only behind Ellie De La Cruz, of course, who is currently on pace for nearly 70 stolen bases. The only thing that's holding back the Reds is just the bullpen, which, if we're being honest, a similar issue a lot of teams are facing. The Reds had Alexis Diaz, the Pirates had David Bednar, the Brewers had Devin Williams, and the Guardians had Emmanuel Clase. Back in 2023, these were some of the best bullpen arms in the league, but now they all have either negative WAR for their current team or have lost their closer role entirely. For example, the Houston Astros completely reloaded after everybody, including myself, thought their dynasty ended. The Astros are currently 1.5 games back in the AL West, and a large part of why has to be breakout star Hunter Brown. Yes, Jeremy Pena and Isaac Paredes have been the two best offensive players on the team, but Hunter Brown has a chance to win Cy Young. Brown currently has an ERA of 2.04 in over 64 innings of work and is striking out just over 10 batters per 9 innings. Not only does Brown lead all Astros starters in WAR, he also leads them in complete games, WHIP, ERA plus, and strikeouts per 9. Before I move on from the Astros, I just want to mention that Jose Altuve is probably one of the funniest people to watch play left field. If you want a low light reel of what not to do, go check out an Astros game from the Crawford boxes. Now let's jump back over to the National League really quick because it's time to acknowledge the Atlanta Braves. At the beginning of the season, the Atlanta Braves were a joke. They were winless through 7 games. They had acquired Jesse Chavez for a 9th time, which has to be an MLB record, and their best player hadn't even completed their ACL rehab. They were dead last, not only in the NL East, but in the entire MLB. But now they've come roaring back and are showing the team that they can beat. While the Jesse Chavez saga might have come to an end, seeing as he's currently in the minor leagues after allowing 2 earned runs in 2 appearances for the Braves this season, everything else is working out perfectly for them. Matt Olson is back to being one of the best hitters in baseball. Marcelo Zuna is the best DH not named Shohei Ohtani, and Drake Baldwin, the 24-year-old rookie catcher, has been phenomenal. He's not only out hitting veteran Sean Murphy, he's an even better farmer than him too. Granted, Murphy is better at everything else defensively, but still Baldwin has been fantastic. The pitching side of things has been a little bit rocky, with Spencer Strider having an ERA in the mid-5s due to battling through injuries. However, Spencer Schwellenbach has been fantastic, posting an ERA in the mid-3s, while Chris Sale has a similar ERA while striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings. And that's all without mentioning that Ronald Acuna is finally back, and in the former MVP's first at-bat in a year and first pitch he faced, he hit a home run because of course. Like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Now, one man with a similar K per 9 to Chris Sale is Logan Gilbert. I know he's missed a month with a flexor strain, but in his 6 starts this year, he's striking out over 13 batters per 9. This is important because the Mariners are already first place in the AL West. Brian Wu has been dominant on the bump. JP Crawford, Dylan Moore, and Jorge Polanco have been pleasant surprises, and the big dumper along with Julio Rodriguez have been amazing. Add in a dominant Gilbert to the mix, and we could easily be talking about a team capable of winning the pennant. One last player I want to talk about is Pete Crow Armstrong. The guy was expected to be better this season, but he has completely shattered expectations. He's currently tied for the most B-WAR in the NL and already has 30 extra base hits, has nearly 50 RBIs, and stolen 14 bags with an OPS plus of 149. He's also in the 100th percentile for outs above average in center field. He is becoming a legitimate superstar. Speaking of superstars, MLB this month lifted the lifetime ban on players such as Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose. This has sparked a huge debate in the baseball community about whether or not they should be Hall of Famers, and honestly, I'd like to know what you guys think about that. Lastly, MLB has been experimenting with umpires yet again. Down in the low minor leagues, the MLB is testing check swing appeals by using a robot to see whether or not the batter swung. Additionally, MLB has now changed the umpire's buffer zone from 2 inches to 3/4 of a single inch. So this basically changes how MLB grades umpires. Instead of 2 inches of leeway if an umpire makes a bad call, they now only have 3/4 of an inch. But now it's time to move on from beyond the box score and see what's going on in the rookie recap. May has been an insane month for rookies. I have to begin with Jason Dominguez, who not only hit a grand slam, but also had a 3 home run game as well. In May alone, he's slugging over 500 with an OPS of nearly 900. I also want to follow up on Nick Kurtz, who was called up by the A's last month. Kurtz is finally heating up in the month of May. His OPS is 852, and he's hit 5 deep flies, a pair of doubles, as well as a triple. Staying in the AL, let's jump back over to the AL East, where Christian Campbell has had a terrible month. At the end of April, he was the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, but now he's not even the third best rookie on his own team. In May, Campbell is hitting just 104, and his OPS is just 304. Not his OBP or slug, that's his OPS. However, Carlos Narvaez, a rookie the Red Sox got from the Yankees in the offseason, has been amazing. In my opinion, he's the best defensive catcher in terms of outs above average, and in May, he hit 411. He's basically been prime Yadier Molina behind the plate and prime Tony Gwynn while batting in the month of May. Plus, let's not forget about Marcelo Meyer, top 10 prospect the Red Sox recently called up, who already has as many hits as Trevor Story has had since May 18th. Now, let's go back over to the A's for a second and talk about another rookie shortstop in Jacob Wilson. Last month, I said I think Jacob Wilson should walk more, and if he could control at-bats slightly better, he could be a front runner for Rookie of the Year. In March and April, Wilson walked 2 times while striking out 6 times. In May alone, he's walked 10 times while striking out just 5 times, while also hitting 384 with an OPS over 1,000. Now let's go back to the East, but this time let's go to the NL East, where there are 3 standout rookies. The first is someone who didn't really get a fair shot, and that's going to be Mick Abel, who made his big league debut in May, striking out 9 batters over 6 innings, allowing just 5 hits, 0 walks, and 0 runs. However, a day after his debut, the Phillies optioned him back to AAA, likely due to service time manipulation. The next NL East pitcher is AJ Smith-Shawver, who's currently one of the favorites to win the NL Rookie of the Year. He has shoved mid-3 ERA baseball over 8 starts so far this season, and has been a source of reliability after a slow start to the season. While the whip is a little high and his baseball savant page doesn't look the best, he's gonna be a key part of this surging Braves team, that's for sure. The final NL East player I'm gonna talk about is Agustin Ramirez over in Miami. I know that defensively Ramirez needs a lot of work, but offensively so far he's been fantastic. The rookie catcher has hit 6 long balls this season and with an OPS north of 800. It's also important to keep in mind that Ramirez is a part of the return the Marlins got in return for Jazz Chisholm Jr. Now, before we talk about what's to look forward in June, it's time to find out which players are coming back soon and which ones we won't see for months. But before we hop into the injuries themselves, I just want to mention Jose Alvarado's PED suspension. That's right, Jose Alvarado was suspended the rest of the season and banned from postseason play after testing positive for PEDs. But if you ask Alvarado, he says it's because he took weight loss medication and it's a false positive. The funny thing about this is that his story kind of lines up. Even last season, he was calling himself fat.
Bro, I feel like a fat boy, you know, like.
But now it's time to talk about real injuries. First off, Tristan Casas suffered a devastating knee injury early in May and is officially out for the season. That's yet another major injury in the big lefty's career. The 1 billion-year-old Justin Verlander also finds himself on the IL with a pectoral strain, while Pittsburgh's Jared Jones is out for the year after getting Tommy John surgery. After recently coming off the IL, Corey Seager now finds himself back on the IL after re-aggravating his hamstring injury. And his teammate Jock Peterson, who's off to a slow start, is also on the IL after fracturing a bone in his right hand. Roki Sasaki is also on the IL with no solid timetable for when he's going to rehab his shoulder inflammation. Speaking of Dodgers pitchers, let's talk about Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani is finally pitching full bullpen sessions now and has even been permitted to throw breaking balls as evidenced by this footage right here. There is a small chance he can't come back in a full capacity, but even if that happens, it'd still be pretty cool to see Ohtani come out as a closer or a high leverage reliever. Royce Lewis is one of the most fun players to watch in baseball, but ever since coming back from a hamstring strain in spring training, he's been struggling. But at least he's playing, unlike Tyler Callahan, who unfortunately fractured his left arm and is out for the season. On a more positive note, Lance McCullers is back. That's right, the big righty has returned despite not pitching in an MLB game since 2022. McCullers is once again on the bump for the Astros, and despite the fact he's not been very good this season, he still has an incredible story. Now let's hop over to the Bronx, where Giancarlo Stanton is due to come back from injury in June. Keep an eye on this situation because it'll make it incredibly difficult for the Yankees to find an everyday spot in the lineup for Ben Rice. Staying with the Yankees, Jazz Chisholm suffered an oblique strain in early May and should be back sometime in June. A little bit up north, the Boston Red Sox lost a huge part of their defense and lineup as Alex Bregman went down with an injury. Alex Cora called severe. It's not certain when he'll be back, but people are speculating it could be by the end of July. In positive Red Sox injury news, and the Red Sox definitely need some positive news, they are due to get back Cutter Crawford by the end of June after he's been out with a knee injury since spring training. Now let's head back down to Houston as the Astros' Spencer Arrighetti is making strides in his rehab after fracturing his thumb in April. As for their big superstar Yordan Alvarez, who's been sidelined in May with a hand strain, he's in the final stages of his rehab and hopefully should be back by the end of June as well. Finally, let's go to Arizona to finish out this injury segment and talk about Eduardo Rodriguez. Erod landed on the 15-day IL with left shoulder inflammation, but the big lefty should be back in the rotation by early June. That'll do it for the injury segment, but now it's time to talk about what there is to look forward to for the month of June. June is going to be an interesting month for many reasons. By mid-June, we usually know the identity of a team, and we usually have the main award candidates figured out. Obviously, there are outliers, but June is a big make or break month for the majority of teams. For example, look at the Cardinals. Last month, I said that I believe the Cardinals are going to have a big May after starting off the season slow, and boy was I right. The Cardinals are now just 2 games back in the NL Central, and a lot of that has to do with Nolan Arenado making plays like this. One prediction it looks like I was wrong about is the Red Sox. I was really high on the Red Sox mainly due to the offseason moves they made. However, after losing Bregman for a significant period of time and the team not being able to win one-run games, I just think it's safe to say I might have been wrong. However, let's now move to the West Coast and take a look at the NL West. The Dodgers might have first place locked up now, but the Giants and Padres are close behind as both are just 1 or 2 games back from the Dodgers respectively. It is worth mentioning the Dodgers have had a slew of injuries, but keep an eye on San Francisco and San Diego to see if they can make the NL West a little bit more competitive. Another National League division I'd keep an eye on is the NL East. Last month, it looked like the Mets would run the East and maybe end up winning the division by double digits. However, in May, the Braves and Phillies both stormed back, with the Phillies even taking the lead in the division. And if things keep going the way they're going, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets finish 3rd place in the division by the time July rolls around. Staying in the NL, let's do a checkup on the Rockies. The Rockies are currently on pace to lose 120 games. And no, that's not a typo. The Colorado Rockies could very well end up being the worst team in modern baseball history, which is saying a lot considering we thought the 2024 White Sox were. Last month, I said I thought the White Sox from 2024 were worse, but the more and more I watch Rockies baseball, I'm close to changing my opinion. Also, if you're bored and your team has an off day, I'd recommend trying to watch some Chicago Cub baseball. I don't know why, but it feels like every Cubs game is an all-time classic. Not to mention the fact you can watch PCA, Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Carson Kelly, and Michael Busch. Seriously, if you're bored and just need a ball game to watch, turn on the Cubbies in June. Finally, over in the AL West, it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not the Mariners can outpace the Astros. I do think once Houston gets back Yordan Alvarez, they might have enough talent to take the division from Seattle. However, the Mariners are getting more arms back in the rotation as well, and I think this year they might actually have it in them. The difference maker might be which players can come back from injury and perform the fastest. Now, this is just the second monthly recap of the season. I hope you guys learned something or enjoyed it. Since we are early in the season, any feedback would be appreciated, but more importantly, do you think I missed anything? Did I miss any injuries or any cool moments or fun facts? Or maybe you have an issue with my power rankings. Please let me know in the comments below and let me know what you're most excited for in the month of June. Don't forget to subscribe for more hard-hitting baseball analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.